I'm Mel,
And I'm Andrea.
and we've been asking ourselves, WTF? Where's the fun?
So welcome to our podcast for heart-led business leaders, entrepreneurs, and CEOs ready for more. More impact, more wealth, more joy, and more magic, all while having even more fun than ever before.
As co-founders of FunX, we believe that life and business is way more fulfilling when you're following the fun.
So we're flipping the script on success, giving you permission to create from a whole new paradigm where you can have a lasting impact while nurturing your well-being and having a freaking blast along the way.
So join us each week for engaging solo episodes
and real conversations with experts who are embodying this new paradigm of leadership, spiritual wealth, business growth, and of course, fun.
If you're ready to reignite your spark, make bold moves, and lead from a whole new energy,
Let's jump in and have some fun. We just recorded the most fun episode with Inbal Claudio. She is a 3-time founder and mama free, passionate about creating and fostering communities that empower female founders at every stage of business. From virtual platforms to in-person gatherings, she has built spaces inspiring connection, support, and transforming her life and her business. As a community strategist and business consultant, she also helps women cultivate their own thriving communities using the power of connection to drive referrals, loyalty, and growth.
We talk all things community networking, which you'll learn she hates that word, and just how to make it more fun for yourself too.
Yeah, it's all about building a community as an extension of your business and having so much fun while you're doing it. So we're so excited for you to tune in and let's have some fun.
Welcome to WTF. Where's the fun? I'm Mel,
And I'm Andrea.
and today we have Inbal Claudio with us.
I'm super excited for this. We were just chatting before this with you, Inbal, and it feels so good to see you again.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's so good to see you guys too. I was like, it's been a minute, right? We've all been so busy and time has flown by. And truly just like so excited to start my Monday morning. It's 9 a.m. for me. I know it's a little bit later for you guys, but to start my week off with you guys is like magic.
And it's kind of crazy because we met not even a year ago.
Yeah.
But I think that's also the power of community is that you can get to know somebody or feel this deep sense of connection without it even being that long. So I think this ties in perfectly in what we're going to talk about today. Because you are, like when we think of community building, like truly like true community and co-creation and collaboration, you are one of the first people that we think of.
Okay.
I even remember last year when we didn't even have, like we were transitioning from our traditional coaching business to creating the FunX brand. And we met you like right before that. And then you created kind of like just a really great experience where we got to come in and really learn about really how we could take this to the next level for our business and our brand. So you've been so helpful on our journey. So that is another reason why we wanted to talk all things community with you.
Thank you. I feel like you guys are natural community builders. Like it comes naturally for some people where it's effortless, right? And I feel like the way that you guys have built your following, your business, your now fun experience, it's like just it oozes out of you, right? Like everything you guys do is just so inviting. So it's been so awesome to watch.
I think that goes back to like our sports background. Like both of us played high level sports, and you have to be able to be a team player, build community within the team. Like I think it really stems from that.
I think we also just genuinely like
People.
yes, like bringing people along with us, but also getting to co-create with people. And like, I think even going into what we wanted to create, we were very intentional about wanting to have a community. So we know community is so important to you, all the things that you do. So why don't you share a little bit? Because I'm sure people listening are like, tell me more. So tell us a little bit about your journey and why for you, the cultivating the community is so important.
Yeah. So I feel like I have been cultivating community for as long as I can remember. Like I would always have birthday parties and invite all my different groups of friends, and people would just leave with new besties. I'm like, this is amazing. I moved to North Carolina with my husband when we were like just married. And every time I would come back to California, I would always bring my group of friends together. Like it was just it's second nature to me to gather people together. Um, so a little bit about myself. I've always been kind of cultivating community and just love being around people. I've had the traditional job, college, restaurant industry. I moved up into that, started my real estate company and realized it was just not for me and went back to corporate. I met my husband and a few months after we decided to start. I always say we, I don't know why I did that. I started a candle company. He helped. He did. He shows with me. But he was going to selection for special operations. And I basically wanted to build something that would take my mind off him being gone. And so we created a candle company, which I still have today. But it was nice because I had cultivated this community growing up. I was able to launch this candle company and people were like stoked to purchase it. I was doing farmers markets, trade shows, all the gyms that I belonged to. I was doing pop-ups. And then my husband and I moved to North Carolina and I had to build everything from scratch because I didn't know anybody there. And so again, I built my community, I built friends, I built a following. And then my first daughter was born. And I realized that I had to pivot from being in person to a virtual aspect to my business. And I then realized like I have no idea what I was doing. I knew how to build a community. I knew how to make people want to purchase my products, but that was always in person. So when it came to virtual, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have any entrepreneur friends that can help me. And everything was so expensive. Like platforms were so expensive, communities were expensive, courses, programs, and there was nothing free that felt genuine. And so that's why I decided to create Like Minded Collective, which is my social networking platform for women. It's totally free, community networking, and it's just been incredible to be able to cultivate that. We have over 3,000 women worldwide who have joined. And then as we were talking before, a year ago, I started my in-person community and I wanted to hug my virtual friends in real life. And it's been amazing to grow that. We now have a second chapter in Charleston. And I just launched another community a couple months ago for Jewish women entrepreneurs. So I just love bringing women together, virtual, in person, just any way that I can cultivate a sense of, togetherness, love, appreciation, support, just means the world to me.
That's amazing. I love that so much.
I could picture you because I think we're kind of similar where it's like we're having a birthday party.
Oh, yeah.
Let's invite the most random humans in our network and be like, you're all friends now.
Yeah.
So I think yes, I can see how that's just the essence of who you are.
Today's episode of WTF, Where's the Fun, is sponsored by The Fun Experience, a curated mastermind for established business owners, entrepreneurs, and CEOs ready for more. More magic, more joy, more wealth, and more fun than ever before. So if you're ready for a peer-to-peer mastermind that's helping you to embody more leadership, more impact, and make bold moves, The Fun Experience is where it's at.
So I think this is important because, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, it's like building a community as an extension of your business.
Yeah.
So like, why is that beneficial for your life and your business and even like maybe even your brand?
Yeah. So community is my business, right? But the way that I have seen other women cultivate it, like I kind of went backwards, right? I had a community, I had women who were connecting with one another. I created this safe space for them. And then I launched my coaching company, right? So I do coaching and consulting as well. And when I launched that, I just saw how seamless it was to bring women into my program because they liked me. They knew that I was genuine. They valued the person that I was and what I offered, and they knew that I could help them. So what a lot of people do is they launch something without a following, without a community, and they're like, why is nobody buying? How do I bring women into my world? Do I cold DM? Do I post every day on Instagram? It's like cultivate a sense of community, right? Connect with women one-on-one, talk to them, get on Zooms with them. And that's why truly any business you have will grow exponentially quicker when you have a community. And I'm not just talking like, oh, do a networking call once a month. It's like you have to actually embody that sense of community. And we can go into that if you guys want later. But that's why I think when you create a community and you're the community leader, people know you and they genuinely just love you because they're spending time. And then there's everything on top of that, right? You're top of mind because you're sending invites, you're connecting them with one another. And so you're top of mind. People appreciate you for that. So like I said, when you launch something, it's just so much easier to get people to purchase.
I think too, like, you're such a good example of a leader that actually fucking cares. There's so many leaders out there, like even some big names out there right now, who I know personally, who I feel like they don't actually care about their community the way they say they do. Where I look at you and like we can go 3 months without talking at all. And randomly you'll send someone our way or randomly we'll send someone your way. Like that is community right there.
I think it's like, I think even what you're saying is like, I think there's a lot of shoulds for building our business. It's like, we should have a community. And then if we're coming at it from almost like a checking a box,
Yeah.
People can feel
It's
that.
an energy.
It is an energy. And I think like you do ooze that you genuinely care.
Yes.
And that's what makes people be like, I'm part of whatever it is that she's doing. One, because you're an expert and you really are good at what you do, but also to have someone that genuinely cares, supports, believes in you, makes people want to stick around. So for people like us, we genuinely enjoy this. But for some people, especially if they want to, like, they do see the value and they do want to grow a sense of community, but it might not be that fun for them. Or maybe it is fun, but now we want to infuse even more fun. Let's talk about how we can bring even more fun to the community building itself, networking, literally all of the things.
Yeah, so I want to touch on what Mel said really fast because it's so important, right? You said there's a lot of people who are not genuine, right? They create a sense of community, but you're fake, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you can tell from a mile away. Excuse me. So my friend Haley and I launched this mastermind specifically for community builders. And we did a lot of market research leading up to it. And one of the questions was, how do you perceive community and community builders in your industry? And there were a few options, but one was like completely open and welcoming, completely closed off and gatekeepy, or appear open at first, but are actually closed off. And the majority, like 90% of women wrote that option because people seem to be inviting. This goes back to like the classic Facebook group example, right? Have a Facebook group, invite people in, but you're not allowed to talk about your business.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's crazy, right? So that's the number one thing is you have to truly be selfless when it comes to community. And it's not about you, it's about everybody else in the room and how can you help everybody else, right? And I think that goes back to Andrea's question is how do you make it more fun, right? You take the pressure off. Like it's not about you. You don't have to sell anything. You don't have to get a certain number of women in there. All you have to do is care about the other people and everything will come way more naturally. I also think when you're planning events and figuring out what to offer your community, it has to be something that you genuinely like, right? So if you see everybody hosting networking calls and you're like, I don't want to do networking. I hate networking. So don't do networking, right? Find something that works for you or make it fun. Like I talk about your story when you did, when you guys were brainstorming and you're like, how do we make this more fun? And you put your whiteboard on the dock, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that story literally I told to 100 people because I think it's so amazing.
I love that.
It like embodies you guys, right? When I talk about you to people.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you take that boring event and how do you make it more fun, right? Maybe it's a happy hour networking and you give all your members a $5 gift card to go and like get a coffee, right? Before the networking. Come and show up on the call with a coffee or like a happy hour one, right? Make sure to grab your mimosa or something. Like make it more fun and people will come. Now, how do you do that? I would literally bring them. and talk to people. So do some market research. Like the first thing I always tell people is talk to everybody else. Like who's already in your network? Who are your friends? Even your family members. Just say like, when you think of me, like what are some things you think about? What is the most fun that we've ever had together? And come up with something like that, right? And everything that you come up with, just remember, can always be shifted. It's not set in stone. So you do one thing and then you build an audience or following maybe 2 people, 3 people, 5 people. And then you ask them every event, like, I would love feedback. Like, how can we make this more fun? What would you like to see? What are you kind of not vibing with? What are the words that you like, right? For me, it's really important to not use the word networking in my in-person community because we're not a networking community, right? Everything I do is friendship first and business second. So like for them, they're like, I really like that there's no networking. Like you don't use the word networking, right? We just hang out and it feels like a big warm hug. So try to find ways like that. And I think the best thing to do is kind of look inward, be a child, like act childlike and like brain dump and ask people. And it'll come and you can always shift.
Yeah. I love that you try not to use the word networking because I feel like we try to not use that word a lot and we say like deep relationship building because that's really what it is at the end of the day. It's just a web of relationships.
Or if we do say networking, we'll say not boring networking.
Yes.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not cookie cutter. Like for me, I always say this is not like name tags and handshakes, right? I just don't like that. For me, like I said, I had a real estate company for a long time. And to me, that's what it seems like. Realtors, insurance brokers, loan officers, like they come, they wear a name tag, they shake your hand, they give you a business card. And it's not like that, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I just don't like that word. But it is a word that people understand, right? So you're like, not boring networking. It's like people get that.
Yeah.
You said so many good things in there. And I think just to highlight a few of them. Market research.
Yeah.
Market research is, I think, one of the most underrated things that people do. We haven't done market research until we did this business.
Yes.
And I know when we were in your community, you were like, absolutely, market research. And I think one, it just makes sense. It's like, if you want to know what your community wants, talk to them, talk to your community. But then it's like your own values. So what would make this more fun for us? It's like, you're right. If it's like sitting and doing a transactional networking event, absolutely it has like a zero joy for us. As a community builder, then guess what? Your people are going to have zero joy as well. And then the other one you said is feedback, which I think is so important as well. So are those kind of like the main kind of pillars that you focus on for, I guess, enhancing the community? Like how do you create that sense of belonging and continue to grow it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. And I've asked that to people. Like, I'm like, what? This actually, my sales coach brought this out of me because I'm like, I don't know how to make my virtual community like exciting for me, you know? And it was this block that I had. And she's like, okay, well, let's talk about your in-person community. Like, why is it so fun for you? Why do you love doing it? Why do you show up? And so I went through the things that I was doing. I was like, I just love hugging people, right? And I love that feeling of like being around people. I mean, growing up, I'm always the one that's like, come over. Like, I'm always at my parents' house. My sister is the complete opposite. She's like, do not come over unless you call. And I'm like, come over all the time. I'm here. I'm you. I'm like, get your butt in this. Yeah. Yeah. The door is always unlocked.
Yeah.
Right? And she's like, I will deadbolt the door.
Yeah. I know. I love a good drop in.
Yeah. I love it. Right?
Andy hates it.
Well, I'm getting better, but
You are getting like better.
yeah. I don't mind a doc drop in, but
yeah. I mean, some people, right? It's for some people and for some people it's not. And that's totally fine. But I just like, I love that feeling of just being around people. That's why I can host like multiple events every week and not get drained.
Yeah.
So I was talking to her about that and I'm like, it just feels like warm and cozy, right? And she's like, just think of that in your virtual, right? Like when you host a networking event, because she's been to them, she's like, it feels like that to me. Like you're happy, you're connecting with people, you're calling people out on what they need to share more about their business. You know people, you're connecting them. So she's like, from the outside, I see that. And so you need to start just feeling that and knowing that that's what comes out. And, I think that's what it boils down to, right? Like you can create that sense of fun and warmth and inviting. And I think that's what differentiates people, right? When people walk into my community, the first thing I do is greet them because even though they know a million people or if they know nobody, they still deserve to be greeted at the door. Right. And so, like in-person events, that's really huge for me. I think that's how I bring people back is like they know they're never going to walk in like a deer in headlights because somebody will always be there to give them a hug and introduce them to somebody. And I try to really do that now with my virtual is just show up always like super happy because I am naturally. And like, authentic. So I think that's kind of what helps. I hope that answered your question. I think I went on a little bit.
And no, it does. It's like, because I think for our listeners, and I'm thinking of a couple people in particular, there's almost, I don't want to, there's a scale, some people are I think it's very natural for them.
Like me.
Yes. And then there's some people where they actually genuinely want to have community. They already have, like one person in particular, they have a very large community. And I also don't think based on, I think their upbringing really and conditioning. I find a lot of high performing entrepreneurs, high achieving women, there's also this sense of we had to do a lot of things by ourselves and alone. And even though there is a community, I think having a sense of community where they actually feel like
Seen.
they're part of it as well,
Yeah.
I think is important. So I'm going to say for those who are open to community, like community, but maybe it is not something that's natural for them. What are just a couple things that if they just maybe open their perspective or focused on these little steps would make a really big difference in
There's a lot of people like that, right?
Yeah.
I felt like I was like that. Like I never hosted dinner parties, but I always like brought people together. But the hosting of the events was like not anything that I knew. I'm like, oh, I have to like get tablecloths and like this, not like right. And now that comes a little bit second nature, and I have a space. But I think for a lot of people, it's like that, right? You're doing something new, regardless if you're a natural community builder or not. When you're doing something new, it's a little nerve-wracking. And so what I say is start small, right? You don't have to do a full-fledged community with weekly events. Just do one-off, right? If it's in person, don't even put any money towards it. Just have people meet at a coffee shop. Like see how many entrepreneurs or people in your target market can come together and connect and just see the vibe. Like, how is the conversation? Are these women people that I could actually hang out with or want to be around? And just see, right? And if it's virtual, just do something free. Send out an email to your entire email list and just send out a link for a Zoom and just say like, hey, would love to hang out and do some introductions, get to know some people in the community, introduce you to some people, and just make it super low key. And just know that this is something that you can do once and never again, right? There's no pressure. You're not launching a community, adding a membership, hosting weekly events. Like just do it once and see the vibe. And if I could collect and save the voice notes that I get from every single person that has hosted their first event and sent me a message after, they're on drugs. Like it is a natural high that you have because you're like, you created this space that women want to come to and are connecting with each other. And the value and the vibes, I mean, there's nothing like it. So what I say is once is fine. If you don't want to do it again, that's totally fine. But just do something that doesn't take a lot of energy. And sometimes it's okay to also co-host. So if you're kind of on that end where you're like, this is not 100% my jam, but I know that this person could be, let's maybe co-host an event, right? And you can feed off each other. It's a little bit easier that way. So there's a few things that you can do to kind of ease in, but always first and foremost, do something that you enjoy, right? If you don't want to do coffee, then maybe it's a walk on the beach. Try to find something that you actually enjoy doing that doesn't cost any money and is non-committal, and find a friend if you need to.
Yeah.
I love it. I think that's so important because you're right. When you're listing all the things, I was like, oh my God, that sounds like a lot of things. But then when you're like, but there's no pressure. And I'm like, that sounds great. Like that actually makes it fun.
Mhm.
And I think that's where it can feel like another thing that we have to be doing in order to grow our business, opposed to how fun is this that we actually get to do this. And then it's something that we look forward to. But that does take, I think, intention, like a lot of intention. It does take a little bit of time to figure out what is it that you want. And then at the same time, I think like it's probably like what you said, it's like one of the most rewarding feelings that you can have, because it's like how fun
Yes.
that you get to do this alongside other people. And then other people start meeting you and then they start sharing about you. And then it starts to become this something that's bigger than us, which I think for all of us here, like that's the whole point. It's how do we expand our impact? And we're not meant to do business alone. And I think one of the best ways that we can have an impact is being in our energy of what lights us up, sharing that with other people, and then bringing that out into the world. So,
Yeah, when you say like when you were saying that it was a lot, and it is, right? It can be. But I think it goes back to your first question. Like people spend so much time on lead generation, right? They spend so much time on Instagram. They spend so much time coming up with content, captions. Like you could use community building as your lead gen, right? You put time towards building relationships and cultivating a sense of community instead of posting to the Instagram universe and hoping that people bite. Like creating those relationships will go so much further. So yeah, a lot of people that I talk to, they're like, "Oh, I just don't have time." It's like you could allocate your lead gen time to creating a community, and it could be much more beneficial too. So just remembering that as well, that yes, people love community, but unless it's like a social community, right, which people have, the goal is to funnel people into your business. And so spending time doing that to see the reward and a lasting reward, right? Community is not just good for lead gen, but it's good for retention as well. So you're not only bringing people in your world, you're keeping them in your world, and they're also referring you more business because they love you and your community. So it's worth spending the time on it, because it will impact your business, right? It's a form of lead gen.
I think it's also a great approach to sales because it's kind of the same thing. Like, let's say you're in the DMs and you come from, let's say, an approach that's not community building. It's like, hey, buy this from me. Or like, dude, you want to get me? And it's like,
And you're like, why isn't anyone buying it?
and then it's like, yeah, or I put it out there and we're not actually engaging, opposed to creating a relationship, and then it becomes part of, I see you, I think this would actually genuinely benefit you. Is this something that you're interested in? It's kind of like that party invite.
Yeah.
Now it becomes, hey, do you want to come to my party? And they're like, ah, like my eyes are all.
Yeah.
She's like, "Do you want to come? I'm not going to invite you to my birthday party. Like, you know, you're done." She's like, "Oh, I'm having a birthday. I want you to come to my birthday party." You're like, you're in, right?
Yeah.
It's the 5-year-old mindset.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. So tell us, well, actually, I have a couple questions. One is, what's fun for you right now?
Oh, yeah.
Where are you following your fun? Could be life, could be business.
Where am I following my fun? So I just launched, like I was saying, my community for Jewish women entrepreneurs. And that has been so fun for me. It's kind of like very imposter syndrome because I'm like, oh my God, these women are like my like-minded collective community is for early stage founders, right? Like the virtual, the free. It brings in like 1 to 3 years in business. My in-person community is a little bit more elevated, so is my membership. But these women in Jewish, my Jewish women entrepreneurs and founders who Shabbat are like CEOs, multi-million dollar companies.
We're friends with a couple of them.
Yeah. You are? Oh my God. I love that.
Yeah. So no, Beth.
Oh my God. Okay. We love Beth Night.
Yes.
Yes. So it's just like, it's incredible to be able to bring women in. And that's kind of when you realize, like, it really just takes one commonality to bring people into a room and just create that sense of belonging, right? When people join or find out about Founders Who Shabbat, they're like, oh my God, I needed this. Like, I've been looking for people like this, right? So it's so interesting. Like, so that is kind of what is like lighting me up at the moment. My in-person community, I'm shifting a few things around, like adding different events because I constantly do market research. So, like I was saying, my mission is friendship first, business second. So a lot of it was focused on friendship. And after doing some market research and seeing the attendance of the friendship stuff go down, I realized, okay, these women want more business and more in-person business. So I'm adding different events and shifting, and it's just been awesome. We do a CEO roundtable where basically you come in and you spend like 10-15 minutes working on a problem with everybody else in the room. And it's like, it combines the friendship and the business because we're hanging out, we're talking, we're chit-chatting, and then like we're on the whiteboard, right? Answering and helping people. So that has also been lighting me up. Like we were talking before, I'm shifting more my focus into my virtual community. And so I'm going to make it more fun for me, right? I'm going to take the things that are daunting and make it more fun. Like I'm going to go to coffee shops. I'm going to buy myself some lunch and work instead of sitting at home and doing these things that I quote unquote have to do. I'm going to get to do them at like a fun place. So I'm forcing myself to make this fun.
Yes.
I love it. It's
Yeah.
like, how can you make it an enjoyable experience? I could see you have like your little drink, you're at the coffee shop.
When the leader's having fun, it's a trickle effect down.
At least you feel it, right?
Yes.
It's like you become magnetic.
Yes.
That one day I will incorporate goat yoga like you guys did into one of my events. It's on the list.
Yes. That was honestly so much fun for us, which meant everybody else had fun.
Right. Literally anything with goats is
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So where can everyone find you?
So everything that I do and all my links are on my website, inbalclaudio.com. That'll take you to my Instagram, all the different communities that I have. The program that you guys joined is now a mini course that people can purchase to help them build out community. And yeah, all the things. I would love to chat.
so good. Yeah. Can you hear still on your mics?
I can hear you.
Yay. Love it. Perfect. Okay. We'll definitely make sure that we include the links into that. Let's come up with a fun last question. What do you want to know, Mel?
I want to know, maybe we'll come to you and do a mini fun experience or something.
The invitation is always open. Always. We just have to line it up so when you guys are here, you can also teach in like-minded OC.
Yeah, that would be so much fun.
Absolutely. That would be so much fun. Yeah. And then part of it too. Like, that's fun. Let's do that.
So the goal is to have a big like-minded collective event in 2026. So that should be on the radar. But anytime you guys need to get away from the snow, although it's beautiful, we got some sun here for you.
Yes, we are definitely ready for a sun. Yes. Sun extravaganza. Yeah, it would be so good. One last thing is if you could leave people with one, I guess, lasting simple thing that they can do to infuse even more fun into community building, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, one last thing. Truly just don't think too much about it. And before you start to build your own community, I suggest engulfing yourself in other communities. Is that even a word, engulfing? Go and experience other people, because what I tell people truly, the first thing is write a list of all the communities that you belong to. What do you like? What do you dislike? Take what you like and change what you dislike to create your own. So the best thing you can do if you really truly want to start a community is go to events, go to different events in your community, travel to different events if you're able to, and truly take note of every little thing. The little details that people do will make a huge, huge difference. of your experience, right? So to make it more fun, like go and have fun. First of all, it's a write-off, right? So go and travel, take yourself on a solo vacation, and just go check out different events and communities to see what resonates with you before you build your own.
That's so good. It's so smart. And I think it's the quickest way to build not only your community, but your business.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And then you get to talk about your business to other people, make new friends. Like it's truly the best.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. I feel like we could literally talk to you for eon. I know. We're grateful for you. We'll make sure that we have all of the inspiring, awesome community building links for everyone to follow. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, ladies. I am so obsessed with this. And I hope that the video's up so people can see your background because it's so cute.
It will be. It will be. So good.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to WTF. Where's the fun?
We're Andrea and Mel, and we're so excited to be on this journey with you to see how fun it can get.
If today's episode brought a little bit more fun into your world, be sure to subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review.
And remember, life and business is so much better when you're following the fun. So let's have some fun.